Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Because now I know when something happens in our lives that is unexpected, you have to go into it in order to ever have any hope of coming through it. So when you go, guess what? When you come out the other side, you grow.
Brought out more in me than I thought that I didn't even know that I had.
That has given all of us a great hope for what we can do with our own messages, our abilities to deliver, but most importantly, to deliver it in an authentic and very, very intriguing way.
Have you ever been in something or felt something where the only way you felt you could deal with it was to leave, get away? I thought that was the meaning of control. It took me 4.5 years to stop looking around the room of my life, of my journey, of my purpose, digging in cushions for a remote that never existed. Looking, re-looking, going back and upgrading, bringing in and pulling out. Things that do not serve you must go. Those things out in this world that are designed to bring us down, to keep us down, put their foot on our neck and whisper to us that we're never good enough, they don't whisper. They yell at us from all directions, top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, side to side, corner to corner, corner to corner, 365 days. When somebody asks you about yourself, don't you dare whisper. When they ask you to raise your hand, don't you dare half raise it. When they ask you something good about you, you scream it with all you have. Come on now, get up, get up. Tell me who you are. Show me who you are.
Greatest truth of all, that not everyone has to remain lost.
Wake up. Wake up. You're not sleeping, are you? I hope not. If you are, you're going to wake up now. That's for sure. Good morning and welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you all so much for pouring into myself and all of the other people around you that you serve on a daily basis. It's wonderful to be in a world where we have people around us that pour into us unconditionally. Can I get an amen? There you go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, it's hump day. It's hump day. We're getting there. We're getting there. I want to make sure you put your amens in the comments. So there it is again. Can I get one? Just one. That's all I want. Listen, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. How are things shaping up in your neck of the woods? Got a great show for you today, and I just wanted to take a moment first to say thank you all so much. Yesterday was an emotional one, and sometimes that's just how it is. So, when you agree through purpose to be vulnerable, to be transparent, sometimes you just got to ugly cry. Can I get an amen, right? So, hey, it's like gas, better out than in, right? Get your stories out there. Get your everything that you've lived that makes you an authority. Get it into the hands of those who are still seeking. Okay, you'll be glad you did one day. I promise you that. So, anyway, a couple announcements. Today is the second day of November. Can you believe it? Thanksgiving, just a few weeks away. And it's been Christmas, according to the retailers. What, 3 months already? Right? I'm not kidding you. So I had to hide a big ass bag of candy that was left over. And I hid it so well already, I can't remember where I put it. I had to because I was, do I still? Clearly, I didn't hide them all. So, in my little drawer of snacks is how was your Halloween? Trick-or-treaters are seemingly thinning out more and more every year. I'm just gonna buy a couple bags. I say that every year, and then I end up spending like $50 on candy. Announcement: yesterday was a big day in our world here. There it was, Trajectory TV, my brand new television network launched yesterday. And I just want to say thank you all for all of your support. It was a great day, and we've got great programming available now for you. Should you feel you're ready to make that move and stretch out of your comfort zone, a television show might be just the way to get your message around the globe, wrap your love around the globe. If you're interested in how to find out what it takes to get started, I'm looking for consummate content creators and wonderful storytellers. And we have a wonderful storyteller here today, and he's local. Lives right here in my own town. We're talking and speaking of Errol McLendon. You're going to meet him. I've seen him perform. You're going to get a little taste today. And before we bring him in here, don't forget today's Wednesday, a brand new episode of the iHeart Radio Show podcast, Licensed for Love, with myself and Cowboy Jack Shawn out of Nashville, Tennessee. A new one drops today. We are the diversity duo, and we are the place to go to get your fingers on the heartbeat in relationship conversation. That's Licensed for Love. Get it where you find all of your podcast content. And one more reminder: the 9th, save the date, November 9th, the book. It's here. A line will be available more as we get closer, but mark it on your calendars. It's a great day. It's a great day. And one more thing. Thank you so much to Easy Way. And if you are involved with Easy Way, let me turn this thing around. Get over. I think the voting started last night at midnight. These things are always nice, but if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. You just keep going. Can I get an amen? So let me tell you who we have here today. I mentioned his name is Errol McLendon, and just like Errol Flynn, okay? He's told stories all over the Chicagoland area, telling somewhere between 2 and 4 nights a week. So that's like almost like those stand-up comedians. We had one here a few weeks ago. Mike Jones was talking about how he has to go out every night. So does our storyteller guest today, Errol McLendon, 2 to 4 nights a week, he says, not counting times that he talks to strangers that he might just sit next to in a bar or a coffee shop. He is a 2-time Moth winner. Now, are you guys familiar with Moth Radio Hour? Oh my goodness, before I was ever even dreaming of being a speaker, I was hooked on listening to the Moth storytellers. If you have not, just go into your Google and Google Moth stories, and you will not regret it. Trust me, such great content there.
But today, yeah, he's a two-time, Errol is a two-time Moth winner. And in October, this just a month ago, he was one of 6 people selected to tell his story to within a tent. It was a huge tent with over 1,000 people at the National Storytelling Festival in Jonesborough, Tennessee. Now, Errol also has a solo show, which will premiere at the Filet of Solo. Oh, tasty. In January, Interstate Stories deals with the value of travel memories when short-term memories begin to fade. Oh, tell me about it. Is that your nice way of describing senior moments, Errol? We're going to talk about that. So anyway, there's a lot more in there, but I'd rather he tell you than I. So I want you guys to remember when you hear that bell throughout the show, it's not a clever gimmick. It's not a prop. It is an opportunity. It truly is. Because just like that bell, when I hit it, it has a ring to it, right? Well, guess what? So does the truth. And I don't want you to miss any. I know you're busy people and you're getting your content while you're doing multiple things at the same time. But none of us should ever become so busy, so distracted that we miss the truth. Can I get an amen? Okay, there we go. So, first time here, and he lives in my neighborhood, in my town, so I'm gonna have to pass him from time to time. So be nice. We're a loving family here. Do what we always do. Roll the virtual red carpet out if you could. Get on your feet, clap your hands, and we do that by throwing virtual hearts on the screen. It's our way of saying welcome. So here he comes. Let's welcome Errol McLendon. Morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, why do I get the image in my mind, Errol, that one day you're going to be sitting on the porch like Jed Clampett at some kind of a cottage or something, whittling, and all the kids will be at your feet, listening intently to all the wonderful stories you have to share. Well, is that something that might happen?
Yeah, I could end up my final years a lot worse than that. I have no problem with that at all. I come from sort of pseudo rural roots, so I guess that would be like going home. My father was from rural Mississippi, so he went on to become a college professor. But yeah, spent a lot of time roaming around central Mississippi, climbing trees, things like that. So it would be like going home. So yeah, it's a nice thing. I'm working possibly with a park district right now to do a open mic, but that's exactly the format I would want to do, sort of sitting around on a porch, not necessarily, because I want to make it accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, but it's intimidating.
That would be that would be a great set.
Yeah.
If you went on tour or something, have it set up like I think that, or some kind of a fake campfire or something.
Yeah.
Do you know any scary stories?
I did 5 sessions over Halloween of telling ghost stories. Last one was on Halloween night at the Annoyance Theater. So yeah, and they actually have a campfire going behind you on the screen, but so it's a campfire story. But yeah,
oh my goodness.
I was a ghost hunter for 3 years with a group called Wisconsin Illinois Paranormal Society. So I have some real ghost stories to tell in addition to legends.
Hold on one second, Errol.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with you. Ghost hunter. Is he crazy, y'all? I'm just kidding. So you believe I've never you kind of caught me off guard with that one, Errol. So
yeah, I don't tell everybody that one.
With the gun. Wait a minute though. I think it's cool. Did you ever find any?
We found, this is the thing, we did 80 investigations over a 3-year period. We found 12 unexplained phenomena that we couldn't explain away. We found 8 spirits.
Tell us about one. Wait. Tell us about a nice one.
The nice one. Okay,
I want you calling up something. Right.
This really was a sweet one. This is a little girl. First of all, we would go in very skeptical. We would go in, we wouldn't know the story of the place. We would go in with all of our equipment and collect data. And if we found something, then another group would have done the history on the place and we'd compare notes. We also had a clairaudient with us, somebody who could listen and hear and tell us what the spirits were saying.
For real.
And we would verify this 100% because 3 days later we would get the recordings back. We'd have to filter them, and they'd be the exact same words as our clairaudient. So we went to this house, and they had reported seeing a little girl looking out through the windows from the outside. They hadn't been able to rent this house since 1952 because
You think?
Everybody who had rented, not buy it or rent it, a real estate agency hired us to come in and find out what was going on.
Wow.
They heard a little girl saying, "Ollie, Ollie, oxen free." And there was a space in the dining room where the floor got so hot you couldn't walk on it. We knew there was a furnace under there, but it was off except for a pilot light. And so we went under, and I encountered this spirit under there, a gentle spirit. And then in the story, we found out this little girl, Addie Mae, had died there playing hide and seek. She had, her shirt had caught fire. She was hiding by the furnace. And when I went under to try and set up equipment, none of the equipment would work in this crawl space where the furnace was. So I went in with my friend Becky, who was a clairaudient, to try and work with this spirit to give them peace. There are two reasons a spirit hangs around. There's something they need to do, or they don't know they're gone. They're trying to complete what they were doing in life. And so I started by yelling, "Ollie, Ollie, oxen free," which is the ending of hide and seek.
Are you crazy?
We started communicating with her, and she asked about Bobby. And this is through my clairaudient, who really didn't know anything about her life. Bobby was her brother who was in a nursing home in Wisconsin now.
Oh.
She asked about her parents. She didn't know any of them were gone. And she asked about Gumbo. And when we asked her who Gumbo was, she said, "It's my best friend." And we tried to tell her, we never try and lie or make up that you're going to heaven. We don't know. So we would say, "You got hurt in the first world. You are now in the second world, and we're here to help you go to the third world. And we think your parents may be in the third world."
Waiting.
And so we asked her who Gumbo was, and she said, "My best friend." And I said, "Well, if Gumbo is a person, there's a good chance they will be in the third world eventually, as far as we understand. If it's a dog or a cat or a pet, we would, we would definitely not uncertain as to whether they will make it to the third world, but we hope they do." And so all she would tell us, "It's my best friend." So we went to talk to Bobby in the nursing home, and Bobby said it was her doll that she kept.
I had a feeling.
And when we asked where Gumbo was, it was there in his nursing home and in the bookshelf. And we asked him if we could take it and take pictures of it. And he said, "Take it. I don't want it. I just felt badly about throwing it away because it was hers." And this is just a little, where is it? It's here in my house in my bookshelf somewhere.
Gumbo is in your house?
Yeah, it's not haunted. It's just her. Well, I'll tell you why it's in my house. We went back to her and we said, we brought Gumbo and put it on the table. And then we observed Gumbo moving around on the table.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Look, I wish if I was there and there were some Olympic trial people I would be on the team. I am not kidding you, because I'm not. I can't say it.
So
wait a minute.
So she let
wait.
us know she was ready to move on, but she wanted to take Gumbo and she couldn't. So I promised her I would take care of Gumbo, and then she moved on.
You weren't afraid that she was going to say, "I'm just going to hang around at your house and make sure you take
the
care
Gumbo's
of Gumbo."
okay. Well, I've arranged that if I can't take care of Gumbo anymore, that he goes to this Wisconsin Toy and Doll Museum along with his story. If I never can take care of him, but until then, he's on my bookshelf.
What does that feel like? Now I see why you tell stories.
I've got yeah. Well, we encountered some very scary spirits, and we never tried to deal with them. There's an asylum down in Manteno, Illinois, and we should have never been.
What? An asylum?
An old asylum in Manteno. And not only did they do all the horrible things, electroshock, hydrotherapy, lobotomies, the government actually sent scientists down in 1942 to inject the patients with malaria, to test cures for malaria. So, I mean, every atrocity is there.
I find that so hard to believe.
No, isn't that amazing that our government would do something like
I
that?
just would never.
Yeah. Thank goodness we've grown out of that, huh?
From your mouth to God's ears. But anyway, so
but that was that
wait,
we would
tell us
encounter
one story. Tell us one from the asylum.
Well, the asylum one was one where we should never have been there. We took a door off the hinges. We were dealing with there's a guy down there whose mother was a nurse, and he had told her that she had died of a heart attack, and he wanted us to find that spirit. Now, when you go into this place, the cemetery is still there from people who have died. You get residual in battlefields and things. You'll see soldiers marching. They're not ghosts. It's just this negative energy that takes the forms of what people did back then. You can't interact with them. But we were worried about being able to escape if we needed to, because the place has a lot of negative energy and angry spirits, obviously, and not stable spirits. So we took the door off the hinges, and we were trying to film in this room that was the office.
Why'd you take the doors off the hinge? The door.
One door, so we'd have an exit, because
in
we
case
didn't
they
want,
tried to, like on the movie, slam it and you can't get out.
But when we were attacked, something put the door back up and was holding it, and it took 7 of us to get the door open and get out of there, because we heard things moving around. We'll come to find out. Well, I was thrown in, but the hydrotherapy room is where they would put people in ice water and put a thing over them, and a leather thing that was up to their neck so they couldn't get out. This was supposed to calm them if they were, angry patients. And so I was lifted up and thrown into one of these tubs. And 3 people couldn't get me out. They went and got 7 people. I was being held down in the tub. And as soon as they got me out, it's like, we're getting out of here. We went to the door, and the door had been lifted up and put against the frame, and it took 7 of us finally to push it and get out of there. And then when we talked to Chris, the son, he admitted his mother was not just a nurse, and she hadn't had a heart attack. She was the head nurse for the women's wing. So she had okayed all of these atrocities for 8 years. And then she had killed herself by an injection in that room. So we were walking into just a hotbed of danger. We never would have done it if we'd known the real story. So that one was the last one I did. I didn't go on any more after that. But most of them were we would go in trying to debunk the whole thing. So, 60 of them were just nothing. We would go in, we'd collect the data. There wouldn't be anything there. Someone would say they'd see a face looking in the screen of their house, and we'd pull a car around with the lights, and we'd see a tear in the screen, and it looked like a face. Or they'd say there's a hot space in the floor or a cold space, and there would be something underneath that was hot or cold. We'd basically, I hate the term ghost hunters. We were more ghost debunkers, because everybody wants a haunted house. We went to
no, they don't. Not everybody. Let me prove this real quick.
You don't?
On all the trip. No, we have one.
You do?
We have one, Burton. And somebody came and said, "Oh, he's gone now." That was in the spring. Every holiday season, because he died around Christmas.
Oh yeah,
he comes back. He goes, and I'm not kidding you. Well, just take something in the kitchen, not even near an edge, like off the top of the fridge.
Yeah.
Drop it in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
All kind of stuff. Walk around upstairs. And the 2 cats, Ethel and Lucy, are sitting there with us. Because Ethel, she's so fat, you'll think it's a person sometimes, and it's her. But no, she'll be sitting there. And so we're used to it now because he's nice. And when he doesn't show up, or if he's late, I kind of get worried. What the world happened to Burton? You think he moved on? But let me ask you this. First of all, I just got to know. Y'all don't get mad at me. All the trips that you went on, ghost debunkings.
Yeah.
How many Black people were on those trips with you?
We had a crew. The Wisconsin Society was about 50 people. I would say there were about 8.
For real?
Yeah.
I would have thought you would have 0. No. because
They were the
no,
experts.
thank you, ma'am. No, sir, absolutely not.
They were usually our video and sound experts. They
Yeah.
usually came out of like Columbia or college or some school where they were doing legitimate film and audio stuff, but they were the ones to best set up the equipment. And then they would go and filter the recordings through like 6 filters to hear words on
Well,
them.
we're growing, then. I'm glad to hear that because phew, I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. Because in our culture, when you grow up, you say, "Ooh, that ain't nothing but the devil,"
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So, in African American culture, there are very few who gonna play around up in there.
Well,
But
in Southern culture, I mean, people in Mississippi have porch. They paint the top of their porch blue.
right, to keep them
Haint
away.
blue. It's called haint blue because
Yes.
it keeps the haints away.
I've seen that.
And I tell a story about a guy that it's a nice story about a guy who walked around our town. I went to school with him, and he dropped out and became this strange guy that walked around picking up garbage. And there was this place we'd go called, it's a Baby Doll Mansion because they filmed the movie Baby Doll there. It's 20 miles from my home.
Okay.
And a bunch of my friends went out to smoke, underage smoking and drinking. That's where we would go. And we heard this walking upstairs, and they took off and left me because I went back for the leftover beer. I was stupid.
Well,
and they
I've
left me
been
in the
right
dark.
with them.
And I thought it was 20 miles from Parchment Penitentiary. And the last time someone had broken out, they found him at Baby Doll Mansion. So we thought this is a killer, and it very well could have been. But it ended up to be Max, this guy. And some guys had taken him out there and beaten him up and left him. And he gave him a ride back home. And on the way back, he said, these guys picked me up, and I saw your car coming. I thought that was them guys coming back again. I went inside. I didn't want to go inside because there are haints in there. And I said, Max, we thought you were a haint. And he kind of smiled and said, "Oh, I ain't no haint."
I ain't no haint.
And so I took him home, and I was scared of him. He was this crazy guy in my mind. And then when he let him out of the car, he turned around and looked in. He said, "Thanks for bringing me home. I just wanted to get home." And as a teenager, it's like, wow, you're just like me. When you're hurt and frightened, you want to go home. And I hadn't had anything to do with him for 3 years. And he was like my best friend before he dropped out. And I went by the next day to see his family and make sure he was okay. And they had gone. They had gotten in their car and they had left. And no one knows what happened to him. It was his mother and 2 sisters. They lived in this small house behind the Episcopal Church that was a custodian's house. No toys, no TV, just stuff that Max had brought home they'd found in the streets. I mean, it was, they were very poor, and everybody thought the family was crazy. Max at one point had jumped onto a moving garbage truck and jumped off. This was in like 7th grade when he had stopped going to school, and knocked his 2 front teeth out. And of course they couldn't fix him. They didn't have the money for it. So he didn't have front teeth. And so it made him even more of an outcast around home. And so, but my 50th class reunion just happened, and everyone was trying to find everyone in my class, and there's nothing. I know it was before social media, but it's hard not to find something about someone, even through some of these websites that give you everything if you pay a little money.
Right.
My class went through that, paid money to be on those sites to find missing, and there's nothing. It just disappeared. So, but yeah, in Mississippi, in fact, I've asked people in Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama to give me stories, not just ghost stories, but myths and legends that may not be written down. Or there's one I grew up with a white panther.
Tell us about one.
Well, the white panther is at the Boy Scout camp, Camp Tallahassee, and they tell you this story. It's even on a patch. If you get your Order of the Era, the picture of the white panther. And I thought, no, this will be easy to find this story. It's not written down anywhere. But the story is of a Native American who wanted to protect his land. So he climbs to the top of the tree and leaps off. And as he leaps, he becomes this white panther. And he roams the hills, protecting anyone who's not respecting the land. And so for the Order of the Era, you're put out in the woods to sleep by yourself overnight. And they say, the White Panther will come. You'll see him as a light in the trees. and historically, you knew that the older boys were going to be out there with a flashlight and a sheet, making the white light, so it didn't
Right.
scare you. And so I saw it, and I didn't think anything about it, and I went on to sleep.
Them
And
crazy ass friends
the
of mine.
next morning with the scoutmaster, I said, "Yeah, the guys were out there with the sheet last night." He said, "No, they weren't. We locked them in. We were tired of them disrespecting the ceremony. They were curfewed and locked into their cabins after 10 o'clock. And so I don't know what I saw out there, but I saw a white moving light through the trees." So
Errol, I gotta ask at this point, because I'm sitting here going, boy, half of me is wow, feeling cheated. Like I don't have all those kind of great stories. Maybe I do.
yes, you do.
Then the other half of me was like, oh, I'm glad I don't have half of those stories. So let me ask you, have you ever considered that your gift of storytelling is not just an art or a craft, but an actual gift? Because I believe it is for you.
I feel like it's a calling.
Calling.
I've told many people, I wish I had found it 30 years ago, but they keep telling me, the other storytellers will say, you weren't ready for it. And, I discovered this at 65. So I'm a big advocate of continuing to seek.
Wait a minute. Me too. But wait, you hit me in the head with that 65.
I'm 68.
Wait, you've only been telling stories for 3 years?
I've only been telling stories for 3 years. Now I've done theater for 30 years.
Okay.
So, I was planning to do it for another 30. I was working with I worked for 6 years with a theater company called Forks and Hope. We devised pieces on literature for children, but also adults. We took a show called Hunting of the Snark to Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and we were planning on taking Gulliver's Travels.
Wait, what's a snark?
Well, it's the Jabberwocky. It's a nonsensical character in a poem.
Oh, okay.
So we created the story around it.
You can make somebody feel really dumb.
No, that's true.
Like, I don't know shit.
It's Lewis Carroll.
Carroll,
and he wrote some poems, The Hunting of the Snark, the Jabberwocky, all of they're nonsense terms.
Wow. Okay, go on.
But we were going to it was March, and we were planning for the next 5 months to develop this story and take it to Edinburgh in August. And we had an ugly breakup. Theater people are dramatic. And
tell me about
major disagreement, and literally overnight we broke up on the Ides of March, of all things. And I still wanted to get in front of people, but I didn't want to work with anyone again. Maybe in someday, but I wanted to be in control of me. And that's when I just went to an open mic, thinking, what is this all about? And I fell in love with theater. Even though we would like break the fourth wall, we would do theater out in the audience and around the audience. Storytelling, you're looking at the audience, you're talking to them, you see people's reactions, and you react to it. I do. A lot of storytellers do. So if someone says something in the audience, I'll stop and talk to them for a minute and then go on with my story. So I fell in love with this. And then I took a year off from COVID because it all went virtual, and I don't get that same feedback.
Yeah, that feedback, right.
Yeah, I like looking in faces.
Yeah.
Not in squares on the screen. No offense. You're a square on the screen right now, but that was it. And when it started up again, I threw myself into it completely.
Errol, as a storyteller, do you get nerves before you go on, or is it different?
I don't. I just talk to people. I'll go over my story if it's a new story. But the thing is, there are open mics, so I can go try something out, and it can fail horribly, and that's good. But a curated show,
It'll fail?
Well,
they fall asleep on you or something?
Well, no, not that, but I guess
get them walk out.
The failures, more in my mind.
Rotten tomatoes.
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
More in my mind. It's like I didn't get the response I wanted. I didn't like the ending, or I'm starting it too soon. I need to start it later. I kind of, and some of the places I work with where I get hired to tell a story have a workshop component to it. So you I tell down in Naperville at a place called the People Tree. And before you tell your story,
Yay. That's where I
yeah,
met
well, that's
you.
where I saw you. That's where we met.
I've
Yeah.
done 2 of those.
And I've done 3 of them. I'm doing a 4th one in January or February. I can't remember, but
if I ever do it again, I don't want to be on the stage with you.
No, come on. You did wow, yours was an incredible walk through your life. Are you kidding me?
Oh, the one with the posters out front.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know you better than I know my wife now. So
but
but you know, they give you the opportunity to go to 2 workshops before you tell your story. And
yeah, I went to
one.
one.
Love that.
First time, yeah.
And I go to a church that's not a church, Gilead here in the city, that are storytelling based. 2 people get up.
What does that mean, a church that's not a church?
Well, it doesn't feel like a church. They meet in pizza parlors. They met at the Factory Theater. They're transient, but the songs they sing are popular songs. There was a month it was all show tunes instead of hymns. They start with 2 people from the congregation getting up and telling stories. And they're sort of irreverent, but it's where I go every Sunday at 5:00 to regroup.
Where's the next one?
Every Sunday. This Sunday it's at a pizza parlor up in Andersonville area. I can send you the information on it.
No, send me the information when they meet at a bar.
Yeah. Well, this one is a bar. You can get drinks.
I'm there.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. And so they also offer a story circle on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night to help people develop stories for the church. And I go and I do stories that I may want to offer to the church, but I also do stories that I want to work on. And it's other lay people. I mean, it's no big, high paid storyteller there.
Right.
Rebecca Anderson, who is the pastor, is a very experienced storyteller. So, it is an easy thing to get into, and it's a loving community. When you're in the audience, you're not saying, "Oh, I could do that better." And I've done that many times.
I was just going to ask, tell the truth. Have you ever been sitting there and there's a story telling you, or you're feigning interest? You're like, and we're really going, "Oh Lord, don't let me fall asleep on it."
Yeah, I'm more analytical. I'm thinking I don't want to do that in my stories. And I also love going up to people afterwards and saying, "I loved your story. Here's some impressions. If you're interested," I'll give them my card and say, "If you're interested in some feedback, send me an email." And then it's not imposing, "Wow, I think I can make you better." But if they send me an email, I tell them what there was a lot of rambling. You have a central story that's very good. When I go to the workshops for People Tree, I join in very actively with the feedback because I'm learning. I don't know what's good or bad, but I know what I'm feeling. So I never say you should. I always say, when you told this part of the story, I felt disinterested. When you told this part, I was excited, because I can own my feelings. I can't say this part of your story was boring, because it might not have been to someone else, but I can say, when I was sitting through this part of the story, I lost interest.
If I'm at People Tree ever again, and I hope to be, and you happen to be there, and at the end I see you and I'm like, "Errol," and you turn around and fly the other direction. Yeah. That's how I know I bombed.
I would come up and say something like, "Wow, that was a story."
That's like saying, "Oh, let me hook you up with my friend's sister. Is she pretty?" "Well, she has a nice personality."
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this.
Very smart.
Right. We're going to take a brief break, you guys, for obvious reasons. And when we return, I want to talk to our guest today about the fact that 98% of the population is said to have a fear of public speaking. He already said he doesn't have nerves when he speaks or tells stories. Maybe, could it be that storytelling could be a way for many who are fearful of speaking in public to find their way? That and more when we come back. Don't you dare go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. And before we get consummate storyteller Errol McLendon back in, and he is on his way back in, I wanted to remind you, coming up about a month and 2 weeks from now, mid-December, that's winter 2022, the movie will be on Peacock. Heathen. I have a co-starring role in there, my first time ever, and acting, that is. And well, in a movie, I've done stage, but and that was a long, long time ago. But anyway, Peacock, mid-December, I'll let you know. We'll be having a watch party here in Naperville for that. So excited. Thank you, all of the team over there that put this together. And V8, get yourself some today. Ditch those drinks that do not serve you. This is great. 60 calories in every can, 2.5 vegetable servings in every can, and it's easy to find. Head down the juice aisle at your local grocer. When you get to the checkout, tell them that Bathrobe Moments, or you can just use my name, toss it around. Lauren sent you. Delicious. Tastes just like candy. I love quoting Lucy. Anyway, welcome back, Errol. Welcome back. Now, before the break, I asked you, because of the fear is a real thing. I'm a speaker. I coach people on speaking, and a lot of folks think that it's different when you're up on a stage. And I always say to them, you speak all day long in the grocery line, on the telephone. It's the same thing. Talk about how you've helped people, or how you suggest people get or find help to maybe break through that shell of fear, keeping them from finding a gift like you have that might be hiding somewhere.
If I run across someone who shows the slightest interest in storytelling, in my bio, I kind of joke at it, but it's true. I'll sit down and talk to most anybody.
Me too.
If I'm sitting next to someone at a bar or in a coffee shop and I overhear them talking about something that I have an interest in, I'll approach them and chat with them a while. I think that we don't do enough of that. But if I find someone with a story, I just tell them, I say, just tell me your story. And they'll tell me their story. And I'll say, that's a story. Because everybody says, oh, I don't have stories. My wife is the worst on that. And she does have stories. There's stories I know that she's been through that would make great stories. It's just, and she's an actress, but she has that fear of acknowledging an audience, because in acting, you've got the lights in front of you. There are people out there, but you can pretend they're not there. You can't do that with storytelling. And then I encouraged them to do an open mic. And I said, when you do the open mic,
do you ever pretend that the audience is naked?
Yeah, except the audiences aren't pretty people, so it doesn't really help me, So
okay, I just wondered. I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay, go ahead.
But no, that's it. I say, when you tell the first time, pick one person out of the audience that you feel comfortable looking at and tell them the story, or make an imaginary person in the audience of someone that you really feel comfortable with. If it's me, if it's your mother, if it's your best friend, imagine. If they're not, imagine they're in the audience, and just beyond your sight line where you can actually see people, imagine they're there and tell the story to them. And then you'll get more and more comfortable. But it really is a loving community. So it's sort of you couldn't pick a better place to start into it.
So
you're telling your own story. So that fear of, oh, I'm going to forget it, I'm going to forget the lines, shouldn't be there.
No,
you
not in the story.
Yeah.
Because
you know your story.
You're following it. You're seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you skip a part that you
fill it in,
doesn't need to be in there. Right. I just recorded a thing for a storytelling group out of New York, Risk, and we recorded it for their podcast. And at the end of it, I said, "Oh, I skipped this little part in there about a portion of it." And he said, "Well, I didn't miss it. Do you want it in there? I can slot it in." I said, no, maybe that's my mind telling me that wasn't a good part for it. I said, I'm going to take that forgetting as a sign that it doesn't need to be in there.
Misty, hold on. One of the viewers, Misty Riston, you just made a great point, Misty. She goes, no need to practice the truth.
That's it. Yeah.
Get it, girl. Okay, Miss Misty.
Yeah.
Listen.
And so some people say, I want to write the story down and memorize it. And I say, don't do that.
No.
Put bullet points. And then if you forget where you are, you're not trying to remember the next word, which can really throw you. You know what happens next in the story. You just go to the next bullet point and elaborate on it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. There must be different genres of storytellers. And what I mean by that, I mean, there are people who, when they tell a story, they go in and out of character.
Yes.
Their voices change to match the character. And then there's people like yourself who just barrel right down the middle and still wrap us within all of the different nuances. Or do you change your voice?
I do. Some of my stories have various voices in there. I try not to use too many because it can get confusing. But my mother has this voice. She was a Southern belle, you know, from Texas. So I always talk like this with my mother with a Southern accent. When I did Max in the story, Max is, you know, I thought you was a hate. And I tell a story about going to the crossroads at night to meet the devil. And there was a guy in I just told that in the dark. That was an experimental thing for Halloween. So I use different voices, but there are different genres. There are people that tell folk tales. Do
you ever hear different voices?
Do I hear when I'm telling?
Anytime.
No.
Don't answer it. It's a trick question.
No, they're in my head, but they're in my head as memories, not
I almost had him. Okay, because I want to show this real quick. Wait, real quick or quickly? You know what I mean. I want to show you guys. Oh, wait, I don't have to do that. It's right here. Here's a little. I like that story.
If you're lucky enough to be a freshman girl and be chosen as one of the 10 junior Debs, you're guaranteed unlimited popularity for the next 4 years of high school. But if you miss that, there's 3 more years that you can be one of the 25 debutantes. Now, the party at the country club is amazing. It's amazing food. They serve non-alcoholic beverages to be ordered from the bar of the country club. And they bring a band all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. And if you are a guy going with a Deb, you get to attend this event, and it is phenomenal. Or so they tell me.
Because you've never been invited. That's why.
Never got invited.
Let me ask you something. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. I bet I'm the first one to ever ask this. So, you have storytelling outfits hanging in your closet, don't you?
I do.
That you only wear when you're telling stories.
I do.
I knew it. Talk about that.
Well,
no one would ever think. They just think they can throw on any old thing. Why?
Yeah. No, that hat is mine. Summertime, it's usually a Hawaiian shirt. Winter, it's a flannel shirt. I have a jacket with the patches on the sleeves, tweed jacket. It just gets me feeling like I'm getting into costume. It gets me in the mood. There are some storytellers who go full character. I saw a lot of them at the storytelling festival. I don't like that. It's their personal preference, but it separates me from the audience. I still want to be just that guy getting up to tell a story, but it's things that make me feel comfortable. It makes me feel like I'm sitting on that porch just talking to people.
Well, how do you tell, Errol, when you're looking out at a crowd? First of all, have you ever told a story in a bar where people are moving around and talking and laughing and drinking? Because when I used to sing in bars, I'd be like pissed. Shut up. I'm trying to sing up here. So, I mean, what's that like as a storyteller? Because it's kind of intrusive to the people that you have captivated, I would think.
It is. We told at a bar in Schaumburg for Ghost Stories, good Taylor Scott and I, and it was at a bar, and it was done by the library. So 3/4 of the people knew they were there for storytelling, which solves a lot of that. But in the back were some people who just happened to be at the bar when this thing started.
I wasn't there for the stories.
And they were talking kind of through the whole thing. You just try and barrel through and talk to the people. Scott had even said, we had remote mic, portable mics. He said we may have to just walk through the crowd, which would be a good technique, but we didn't. We were able to keep the attention. But you never know what you're going into. Most of these are dedicated events, and people coming to them know that they're doing it. But even Naperville, I notice when they take a break, it takes them a little time to get people focused back in because it's a bar and people are ordering drinks and they're paying their tabs and things like that.
Dinner.
They do focus back in because they know why they're there. But every now and then we get something like the Schomburg thing where there are a few people who are there to watch hockey, and
Right.
we just got the hockey game off and we're telling ghost stories. So
Tell us about this link that's scrolling across the bottom, you guys. This is where you can go and find out more things about Errol McLendon and his storytelling. Talk about Interstate Stories and why should people visit that site.
Interstate Stories is the name of my solo show. My mom dealt with Alzheimer's, but we were at the first day of the opening of Six Flags Over Texas. So anytime my mother started getting upset because she couldn't remember something or things like that, I would bring up Six Flags and she would go back and tell me about one of our trips to Six Flags. We went over the years and she found comfort in that. And so when I started putting my stories together, a lot of them deal with past travel memories. So my solo show is on there. I'm hoping to do that. And I'd like to take it to retirement communities. And then I call it a workshop, but just sit down and talk with people who live in retirement communities, assisted care facilities, and bring up travel because most people have a travel memory. All of my upcoming shows are on that site. My links to all my
and you have a lot of shows coming up. I saw that schedule.
Yeah, it's
good for you.
October's busy. I've got a few in November, a few in December, and it'll pick up in February, January, February. And that's not to mention I need to put some open mics on there that I go to because I had some people show up at a show they came all the way from Glencoe into the city, and they said, well, we want to come to everything you do. And I said, well, you don't really, because I do open mics. And they said, no, we want to. So I thought maybe I need to list those on my schedule too. So yeah, that's where you find everything. The social media, I wiped everything out and am rebuilding that. So it'll be a few weeks before all those links are hooked back up there, but my bio's there. And
everything is there. So
Boy,
I can't believe how fast this hour went today.
I can't either. Wow.
It just flew by, and I cannot wait. I can't wait to see you in person again, which will be soon. I hope
so.
Yes. And so I encourage all of you out there, dear friends and family, to head over to the link you see there. I've just taken the liberty of dropping that same link inside the comment section here, so it'll be easy for you to access at the conclusion of today's broadcast. I want to thank you again, Errol, for pouring into us and starting this hump day in a great way. I love it. Thank you for keeping the fastly diminishing art of storytelling alive. I believe it's what keeps family history in place, community history in place, just history, period, in place. And who doesn't love a good story, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. You're welcome back anytime.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Listen, you guys, I love you. Who's here tomorrow? Let me look real quick. The Kieslings, Scott and Nancy Kiesling, adventure coaches, and great friends. They were in the top 5 of my competition a couple years ago, the next Impactor. They're back, and a lot has changed in their world, but they've got some great things to share with us tomorrow. So join us. I hope you will be here 8 a.m. Central, like every day, Monday through Friday. And I'll meet you right out front on the front porch as together we have another illuminated conversation where, you guessed it, right here on Bathrobe Moments. Have the best day ever. Be the blessing you want to see in the world. Thank you again, Errol. That's all.
Thanks.
Great job, man. Great job.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.